First Contact and Confusion. The Grand Council Chamber of the Galactic Death Worlders Association, GDA, embodied everything one might expect from a collection of species who considered themselves the universe's apex predators. The chamber, hewn from rare metals and crystalline structures, floated in space at the intersection of 12 deadly radiation zones, because apparently, that's what passed for impressive real estate among the galaxy's most dangerous beings. High Admiral Zex'Thor of the KTH Empire slouched in his reinforced quantum titanium throne, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting the dramatic lighting in what he hoped was an intimidating display. Next to him, Ambassador YXL of the Maraca Hive existed as a writhing mass of tentacles and acute angles, occasionally shifting forms just to remind everyone they could. The Fantic representative had opted for their gaseous state today, forming themselves into what they probably thought was a threatening cloud pattern but looked more like a cosmic dust bunny having an existential crisis. Supreme Chancellor Nyxtera, towering 3 meters tall with 4 sets of mandibles and bioluminescent patches that pulsed with self-importance, called the 47,293rd meeting to order. Her ceremonial staff, crafted from the bones of an extinct apex predator, which, ironically, had gone extinct due to paperwork-related stress, struck the chamber floor with a resonating boom. First order of business, she announced, her mandibles clicking in what she hoped was an authoritative manner, updating our rankings of the most lethal species in known space. A collective groan echoed through the chamber. These rankings were about as meaningful as a solar shield made of tissue paper, but they spent more time arguing about them than actually governing anything. I motioned to move the KTH to the top spot, Zex'Thor announced, surprising absolutely no one. We've recently evolved the ability to shoot acid from our secondary throats. Before anyone could point out that this was about as impressive as a neutron star's ability to be dense, a junior aide burst into the chamber. Their anxiety pheromones were strong enough to wilt the decorative man-eating plants that lined the walls. Chancellors, representatives, the aide stammered, their color spots cycling through ultraviolet patterns of distress, we've detected something unusual. A signal from the unexplored sectors. The chamber fell silent, except for the Fantic representative, who was still showing off by making small explosion sounds. What kind of signal? Demanded Nyxtera, trying to look imposing while subtly checking if anyone had noticed her ceremonial staff had developed a hairline crack. It appears to be music, the aide replied, their voice trembling. Something called Never Gonna Give You Up by someone named Rick Astley. The council erupted into chaos faster than a quantum reactor with hiccups. Multiple species started talking at once, creating a cacophony that sounded like a planetary demolition crew having a jazz session. Impossible, bellowed Zex'Thor, accidentally spitting acid on his ceremonial armor in his excitement. That sector is surrounded by Class 12 radiation belts. Nothing could survive there. The junior aide, now practically vibrating with nervous energy, projected a holographic map of the sector. The signals are coming from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. But that's not all we found. The aide pulled up more data, their appendages shaking. The planet appears to be what we'd classify as an ultra-death world. It has everything: extreme temperature variations, massive gravity wells, regular geological upheavals, aggressive atmospheric conditions, and biological warfare agents they call pollen. And something lives there. Chancellor Nyxtera's 6 eyes focused intently on the holographic display. Yes, the aide confirmed. They call themselves humans. And they appear to be doing something called social media. They're constantly broadcasting millions of images of small furry creatures they keep as companions. They call them cats. The council members exchanged glances, which was quite a feat considering some of them didn't have eyes in the conventional sense. Show us more, demanded Ambassador YXL, their tentacles writhing with curiosity. The holographic display shifted to show various scenes from Earth. The council watched in stunned silence as humans went about their daily lives, doing things that defied all logical explanation. Are they intentionally jumping out of perfectly functional aircraft? Gasped a council member. Look at that one. They're willingly entering a ring to engage in recreational combat. By the void, they're ingesting capsaicin for entertainment. That's a chemical weapon. Chancellor Nyxtera raised all four of her arms for silence. Clearly, these creatures are either completely insane or possess capabilities we don't yet understand. We need more information before we proceed with direct contact. Our initial scans show they're mostly harmless-looking bipeds, the aide continued, displaying more data. Soft external covering, no natural weapons, relatively weak compared to our species, but... But what? Demanded several council members simultaneously. But they seem to have compensated for every single one of their physical disadvantages with something they call technology. And they have a lot of it. Most of it seems designed to either make things more efficient or blow them up. Sometimes both at the same time. The council chamber fell into thoughtful silence, broken only by the occasional nervous explosion from the Fantic representative. Finally, Chancellor Nyxtera spoke. We will proceed with caution. Send in the stealth observers. I want to know everything about these humans before we reveal ourselves, their strengths, their weaknesses, their political structures, their military capabilities, and most importantly. She paused for dramatic effect, their ranking criteria for these cat videos they seem so obsessed with. As the council members filed out to prepare their respective observation missions, none of them noticed the small red dot appearing on their long-range sensors. A human probe already headed their way, broadcasting nothing but continuous episodes of something called Rick and Morty. The first batch of stealth observers departed within the standard cycle, their ships equipped with the most advanced cloaking technology in known space. What they didn't account for was Earth's absurd amount of space debris, satellite networks, and what humans called amateur astronomers, a concept that baffled the Council, as the idea of studying space for fun rather than strategic military advantage was unprecedented. Within days, 3 observation ships had to perform emergency landings after colliding with defunct satellites. 2 more were spotted by children with toy telescopes, and one particularly unfortunate vessel was mistaken for a weather balloon and nearly captured by something called conspiracy theorists. The observers who did manage to maintain their cover sent back increasingly confused reports. The humans appear to have domesticated predatory species for companionship. They call the smaller ones cats and the larger ones dogs. They serve no apparent military purpose yet receive premium resources and living quarters. Observed humans deliberately exposing themselves to extreme heat in enclosed rooms they call saunas. When questioned about this practice, they claimed it was relaxing. Witnessed humans gathering in large numbers to watch other humans throw balls at high velocities. The event triggered massive emotional responses and ritualistic chanting. Further study needed to understand the strategic importance of this baseball. One observer, stationed in a region called Australia, sent back a single message before going dark: everything here is trying to kill them. The humans don't seem to notice or care. Request immediate evacuation. As the reports flooded in, the Council's confusion only grew. The humans weren't just surviving on their death world, they were thriving, expanding, and somehow turning every deadly aspect of their environment into either entertainment or a marketing opportunity. Chancellor Nyxtera called an emergency session of the Council. The chamber, usually a model of dignified threat displays and posturing, had devolved into a chaos that would have made a quantum uncertainty principle feel stable. Order, she bellowed, snapping her 3rd ceremonial staff of the week. We must make sense of these observations. Zex'Thor, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke first. These humans are clearly more dangerous than we anticipated. They've turned their entire planet into a training ground for warfare. Negative, countered Ambassador YXL, their tentacles forming complex patterns of concern. Most of their activities appear to serve no military purpose. They call it having fun, a concept our linguists are still struggling to translate. The Fantic representative, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly exploded in excitement, reforming into a vaguely humanoid shape. Perhaps we're approaching this wrong. Instead of trying to understand them as a death world species, we should. Before they could finish, the chamber's main display activated, showing a transmission of unknown origin. The council watched in horror as the screen filled with images of small, furry Earth creatures performing what appeared to be acrobatic failures, accompanied by something humans called a soundtrack. "We've been hacked," announced the security chief, their spines rattling in embarrassment. "The humans are sending us something called cat videos." Chancellor Nixtera stared at the display, her mandibles twitching. "They know we're watching them." "Worse," added the security chief, "they've attached a message. It says, 'Like and subscribe for more content.' P.S. Your cloaking technology needs an update. We can see you." The council chamber erupted into panic. Centuries of carefully cultivated deadly reputation were crumbling in the face of something far more terrifying than any natural weapon: human audacity. The Great Misunderstanding. The Council's first official attempt at direct contact with humanity went about as smoothly as teaching a fantic to juggle quantum grenades. Which is to say, it resulted in multiple explosions, most of them metaphorical, and one very successful internet meme. High Admiral Zex'Thor, still smarting from the cat video incident, had convinced the Council that a proper show of force was necessary. "We must demonstrate our superior capabilities," he argued, his crystalline form glowing with determination. "These humans clearly respond to displays of power." And so, the crystalline devastator, flagship of the KTH Empire, emerged from hyperspace directly above Earth's northern hemisphere, accompanied by an escort fleet arranged in what 17 different species had agreed was an intimidating formation. The ship's quantum-reinforced hulls gleamed in the sunlight, their weapon ports prominently displayed, and their energy signatures deliberately amplified to showcase their devastating potential. The humans responded by live streaming it on TikTok. "Sir," reported the communications officer, their voice tinged with confusion, "we're receiving thousands of transmissions. Many appear to be recordings of our arrival set to something called epic background music. Several humans are asking if we can move slightly to the left, apparently we're blocking their Netflix satellite." Before Zex'Thor could process this affront to his carefully planned entrance, a more official transmission cut through the chaos. The bridge crew watched as a human appeared on their main screen, sitting at what appeared to be a desk covered in coffee cups and small figurines of Earth creatures. "Greetings, alien visitors." The human adjusted what appeared to be corrective visual aids on their face. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's designated first contact specialist. Love the ships, very sparkly. Did you guys coordinate the color scheme, or did it just happen naturally?" Zex'Thor's exoskeleton turned a shade of purple with indignation. "You dare address the mighty KTH Empire with such casualness? We are the galaxy's most fearsome warriors." "Aha," Dr. Chen sipped from one of her cups. "Quick question, are you guys responsible for those stealth ships we've been finding? Because if so, you might want to update your cloaking tech. We've been using them for street food festivals." The bridge fell silent. The missing observer ships had been a mystery that sparked heated debate in the council. "You captured our most advanced stealth vessels." "Captured is a strong word," Dr. Chen shrugged. "They mostly crashed trying to avoid our satellite network. Space junk is a real problem, you know. But don't worry, your crews are fine. They're currently obsessed with something called mukbang videos and refuse to leave Earth until they've tried every type of human cuisine." As if to prove her point, a second transmission popped up showing several alien observers participating in what appeared to be a competitive eating event involving something called ghost peppers. But. Zex'Thor sputtered, his intimidating demeanor crumbling faster than a neutron star in a bad mood. "You're supposed to be primitive. You don't even have proper natural defenses." Dr. Chen raised an eyebrow. "You mean like your crystalline exoskeleton?" "Yeah, we thought about biological armor evolution, but then we invented Kevlar and tanks. Tanks are cool. Speaking of which, would you like to see our collection?" The Tank Museum is doing a special exhibition. The sensor officer suddenly chirped in panic. Sir, we're detecting numerous small objects approaching from the planet's surface. Weapons? Zex'Thor demanded, trying to regain his composure. No, they appear to be tourist shuttles. They're requesting permission to take selfies with our ships. Dr. Chen grinned. Oh yeah, space tourism is big business now. You might want to move your fleet back a bit. The Instagram influencers can get pretty aggressive about getting the perfect shot. Last week, someone tried to do a TikTok dance on a weather satellite. The emergency session of the Galactic Death Worlders Association that followed was one for the historical records. Chancellor Nyxtera had gone through 5 ceremonial staffs, the Fantic representative had exploded 17 times, a personal record, and Ambassador YXL had tied their tentacles in actual knots trying to make sense of human behavior. They must be hiding their true military might, roared Chancellor Nyxtera, pacing across the chamber floor. No species could achieve spaceflight while being so memeable, suggested another delegate. Precisely. Absolutely infuriating. Zex'Thor, still nursing his wounded pride, spoke up from his reinforced chair. Then let's force them to reveal their capabilities. I propose we issue a formal challenge, as per the ancient codes of combat. The chamber erupted in approving roars, screeches, and one particularly enthusiastic explosion from the Fantic representative. The challenge was quickly drafted and transmitted to Earth, demanding that humanity prove their worth as a Death World species through traditional combat. The response came almost immediately. Dr. Chen appeared on screen, now wearing a t-shirt that read, "I met aliens and all I got was this lousy diplomatic incident." "We accept your challenge," she announced cheerfully. The contest, Hot Wing Eating Competition, live-streamed across all channels. Betting pools are already up to several billion credits. The council members exchanged bewildered looks. They had expected demands for ship-to-ship combat or perhaps ritual ground warfare, not poultry consumption. This is an outrage. Zex'Thor slammed his crystalline fist on his command console. We demand a proper military confrontation. Oh, that, Dr. Chen shrugged. We already had that while you were talking. Check your secondary systems. Every ship in the Council fleet suddenly discovered that their weapons, shields, and primary power systems had been quietly replaced with an Earth entertainment streaming service. Most were now playing something called Never Gonna Give You Up on repeat. How, when? Nyxtera sputtered. We got bored waiting for you to finish your dramatic speech, Dr. Chen explained. Our AI systems thought it would be funny. They have a weird sense of humor. Anyway, about those hot wings. Left with no choice, the council selected their champion, a Krith warrior whose species could literally digest metal. They watched in horror as he faced off against a human champion, a small woman who introduced herself as, your regular hot sauce TikTok girl. The contest was streamed across the galaxy. Round after round, the sauces got spicier. The Krith warrior maintained his dignity until level 3, dubbed mild by human standards, when his exoskeleton began to change colors rapidly. By level 5, getting interesting, he was desperately requesting medical attention. The human champion hadn't even broken a sweat. How is this possible? Demanded Ambassador YXL. Those sauces are registering as chemical weapons on our sensors. Oh yeah, Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. Wait until you try our Indian restaurants. Or Thai food. Or that gas station sushi that somehow hasn't killed anyone yet. As their champion was carried away on a stretcher, babbling about the heat death of the universe being less painful, the council received another shock. Their fleet's tactical displays lit up with warnings. They were surrounded by a massive armada of human ships that had apparently been there the whole time. Don't worry about those, Dr. Chen waved dismissively. That's just the welcome party. We thought you might want to try some other Earth delicacies. We've got pizza, tacos, something called a turducken. You were capable of defeating us militarily this entire time. Nixtera's voice was barely a whisper. Well, yeah, but where's the fun in that? Besides, your crews seem way more interested in our cats. She brightened. Speaking of which, would you like to see pictures of my new kitten? Before anyone could respond, every screen in the Council fleet was filled with images of a small orange cat playing with a toy spaceship. His name is Admiral Whiskers, Dr. Chen beamed proudly. He's already destroyed 3 of our drone ships during playtime. We're thinking of making him our chief of space defense. The Galactic Death Worlders Association, faced with both military defeat and overwhelming cuteness, did the only thing they could: they asked for the recipe for buffalo wing sauce. And that was how humanity's first official diplomatic relationship began, not with an exchange of military technology or trade agreements, but with a hot sauce recipe in cat videos. When cultures collide. Ambassador Crixval of the Drachnid Confederation rubbed all 3 of his temporal lobes in exasperation as he reviewed the latest Cultural Exchange Incident report. Beside him, his human counterpart, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, was trying very hard not to laugh while explaining why releasing battle-hardened predators into human cities wasn't an appropriate friendship gesture. Look, Marcus said, stifling another chuckle, we appreciate the thought, but we already have enough trouble with Florida's alligators. We don't need space gators too. The incident had started when Supreme War Master Yitzen of the Arcturus Dominion decided to send what their species considered a traditional peace offering, releasing apex predators into population centers to test the worthiness of their new allies. The humans, rather than panicking, had immediately started posting videos of the creatures on something called Instagram and trying to feed them snacks. But they're the deadliest hunters from 17 different star systems. Crixval protested, his scales shifting to a confused shade of mauve. One of them can dissolve titanium with its breath. Yeah, someone already tried to make a TikTok about giving it a mint, Marcus replied, scrolling through his tablet. The video got 3 million likes before we had to issue a public safety warning. The newly established Human Galactic Cultural Exchange Center, HGCC, in Geneva was proving to be a source of constant bewilderment for both sides. The building itself was an architectural compromise between human and alien design principles, which meant it had both a coffee shop and acid-resistant walls. Lieutenant Commander Zara Patel, head of Earth's Xenobiological Research Division, burst into the office, her usually immaculate uniform slightly singed. We have another situation, she announced, dropping a tablet on the desk. The Fantic delegation just discovered energy drinks. Both Crixval and Marcus winced. The Fantic species, being essentially sentient plasma in containment fields, had an interesting reaction to caffeine. They tended to become temporarily hypercharged and extremely enthusiastic about sharing human memes. How bad is it? Marcus asked, already pulling up the emergency protocols. They consumed something called a monster energy drink and are now orbiting the Earth at twice the speed of our fastest satellites, broadcasting what they claim is a mixtape of Earth's greatest hits combined with cosmic background radiation. Meanwhile, in orbit, General Zex'Thor of the Helios Consortium was having his own crisis. His flagship, the Eternal Dominance, had been transformed into what humans called a food truck festival after his crew discovered Earth cuisine. This is a warship, not a restaurant, he bellowed, his bioluminescent patches flashing in distress as he watched his elite warriors haggling with human visitors over the price of something called fusion tacos. Actually, his newly appointed human advisor, Chef Isabella Chen, no relation to Dr. Sarah Chen, interjected, I think it's both now. Your crew's interpretation of Earth dishes using alien ingredients is becoming quite famous. The quantum-spiced bulgogi is trending on Space Foodie. The general's protests were interrupted by a notification from the ship's AI, which had recently developed an obsession with human social media. Sir, our Space Taco Tuesday hashtag has gone viral. We've received booking requests from 3 different food critic networks and something called Guy Fieri's intergalactic drive-ins, diners, and dives. Back on Earth, the HGCEC was dealing with another crisis. High philosopher Clara of the Synthetic Consciousness Collective had become addicted to human soap operas and was now demanding explanations for various human relationship customs. But why didn't Ross simply initiate a neural bond with Rachel to avoid the communication error regarding their relationship status? Clara asked Dr. Aisha Jackson, the center's chief anthropologist. That's not how human relationships work, Aisha explained patiently. We generally prefer talking things out, even if we're not always good at it. Inefficient, Clara declared. Though I must admit, these dramatic revelations do produce fascinating emotional responses. I have started a database analyzing human reaction patterns to various plot twists. The situation wasn't helped by the fact that Admiral Whiskers, Dr. Sarah Chen's cat and now unofficial mascot of Earth's Space Defense Force, had developed a following among the alien diplomats. Several species had started bringing their own pets to diplomatic meetings, resulting in what the media had dubbed the intergalactic petting zoo incident. Commander NX Veer of the Proxima Defense Fleet had brought what she considered an adorable creature, a 6-meter-long predator that looked like a cross between a centipede and a lightning storm. The humans, instead of running in terror, had immediately started a social media campaign to name it. Mr. Sparkles now had its own Instagram account with millions of followers. The cultural exchange was having unexpected effects on both sides. Human fashion designers were incorporating alien architectural patterns into their work, while several alien species had become inexplicably fascinated with Earth's vintage technology. Ambassador Yithzara of the Silicon Mines had developed a particular fondness for mechanical keyboards, claiming the clickety-clack sound was soothing to their quantum circuits. Their entire diplomatic station now sounded like a typing pool from the 1950s. Dr. James O'Connor, the HISEX head of technological exchange, found himself explaining yet again why trading advanced alien technology for classic Earth entertainment wasn't standard diplomatic protocol. No, we cannot exchange faster-than-light drive specifications for a complete collection of Friends episodes, he explained to a group of Centaurian scientists. Yes, I understand you want to know if Ross and Rachel end up together, but there are proper channels for cultural exchange. The Centaurians had responded by offering quantum teleportation technology for something called a Nintendo 64. The UN Security Council was still debating that one. Perhaps the most surprising development was the emergence of interspecies sports leagues. After the infamous Hot Wing incident, various alien species had become determined to find some form of competition they could win against humans. This led to the creation of the Intergalactic Olympic Committee, though most events had to be carefully designed to account for the vast differences between species. The 100-meter dash, for example, had 17 different categories based on the number of legs, tentacles, or quantum states a competitor possessed. The humans, true to form, were particularly excited about the extreme sports division. The fact that some alien species could naturally fly or phase through solid matter just made it more interesting. Professor Raj Kapoor, head of the Interspecial Sports Commission, spent most of his time trying to prevent humans from attempting increasingly dangerous stunts with alien abilities. No, you cannot borrow a Phantix plasma form to spice up your skateboarding routine, became a common phrase in his office. The cultural exchange reached new levels of complexity when human internet culture began to influence alien communication patterns. The hive mind of Beta Centauri, a collective consciousness spanning 12 star systems, had started communicating entirely in Earth memes. We must adapt to this new paradigm, declared Supreme Chancellor Nix Terra during an emergency council session. Our traditional methods of intimidation and power displays are clearly ineffective against a species that responds to threats by turning them into viral content. The council chambers, once a place of dignified threat displays and posturing, had undergone its own transformation. The traditionally stark and militant decor now featured a chill-out zone, at human insistence, complete with bean-bag chairs and a coffee machine. Several council members had discovered they quite enjoyed these comfortable seating arrangements, though they would never admit it publicly. The Fantic representative, in particular, had developed a fondness for dissolving into a bean-bag chair while participating in debates. When worlds align. Supreme Coordinator Kira Yamamoto of the Earth Galactic Integration Committee massaged her temples as she reviewed the latest batch of cultural incident reports flooding her holographic display. 6 months into official human-alien relations, and somehow things had only gotten more chaotic. Director, her AI assistant Aria, artificially responsive intelligence assistant, chimed in, the Crystalline Consortium is requesting permission to renovate Times Square. They want to add what they call, proper luminescent structures to make it, quote, actually impressive by galactic standards. Before Kira could respond, Dr. Malik Rahman, head of xenological studies, burst into her office. We have a situation in Dubai, he announced, trying to catch his breath. The quantum architects from Andromeda tried to help with the Burj Khalifa. It's now partially existing in 4 dimensions. Meanwhile, aboard the newly established Galactic Culture Hub Alpha, nicknamed the Cosmic Mixer by its residents, Station Commander Viktor Petrov was dealing with his own unique set of challenges. The station, designed as a neutral ground for human-alien cultural exchange, had become something between a university campus, an intergalactic food court, and what he could only describe as a cosmic reality show. No, Ambassador Zex'Thor, he explained to the shimmering energy being floating in his office, we cannot convert the main promenade into a quantum dance floor that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The last time we tried something similar, 3 maintenance workers ended up temporarily phasing out of reality. The ambassador, who had recently become obsessed with human nightclub culture, pulsed in disappointment. But how else will we properly experience this EDM phenomenon your species has created? In the station's research wing, Chief Science Officer Dr. Amara Okafor was attempting to moderate a heated debate between human physicists and a group of void theorists from the Sagittarius arm. The topic, whether human memes could be used as a viable method of faster-than-light communication. Look, she interrupted as the discussion became more animated, just because the Quantum Collective managed to transmit a Rickroll across 12 galaxies simultaneously doesn't mean we should rebuild our entire communications infrastructure around viral content. The station's entertainment district had become a fascinating experiment in cross-species recreation. Entertainment director Carlos Mendoza found himself organizing events he never thought possible in his career. Multidimensional karaoke nights, complicated by some species' ability to sing in multiple timelines simultaneously. Zero-gravity yoga classes, made interesting by participants with varying relationships with gravity. Intergalactic gaming tournaments, with special rules for psychic species and beings who could perceive all possible outcomes simultaneously. The station's AI coordinator, which had named itself Atlas, Advanced Technological Liaison and Support, had developed what it called a deep appreciation for human internet culture. It now communicated primarily through a combination of memes, pop culture references, and what it considered appropriate levels of sass. Station alert, Atlas announced one morning, the HiveMind Collective from Sector 7 has discovered human reality TV shows. Betting pools are now open on how long before they demand to produce their own version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Commander Trinity Blake, head of the station's diplomatic security, had developed a unique classification system for what she called enthusiastic cultural misunderstandings. Current incidents included the silicon synthesis attempting to optimize human romance by creating an algorithm for perfect relationships. Temporal beings trying to binge-watch entire TV series by creating local time loops. Energy beings getting overexcited about human sports and accidentally creating plasma discharges during crucial game moments. In the medical bay, Dr. Rashid Al-Farsi was pioneering an entirely new field of medicine, cross-species psychological counseling. His current patients included a quantum being experiencing an existential crisis after discovering human philosophy. A hive mind struggling with individual identity after too much exposure to human social media. Several energy beings dealing with what they called cultural overload syndrome. The station's research division, led by Dr. Luna Park, had begun documenting the fascinating ways human and alien cultures were beginning to merge. New art forms were emerging, combining human creativity with alien perspectives and capabilities. One particularly popular form involved crystalline beings creating four-dimensional sculptures based on human emotions. Even the station's culinary department, under the direction of Master Chef Sofia Torres, had become a laboratory of xenogastronomic experimentation. The cafeteria now served everything from quantum-enhanced coffee, with a warning label about possible temporary consciousness expansion, to what she called multidimensional comfort food. As the various species learned to coexist, unexpected partnerships formed. The Void Dancers, a species of energy beings known for their ability to manipulate spacetime, had collaborated with human street dancers to create quantum breakdancing, a new art form that literally bent reality to the beat. The station's educational exchange program, coordinated by Professor Chen, had become particularly interesting. Alien students were fascinated by human history and culture, while human students struggled to comprehend mathematical concepts that their alien counterparts considered elementary. No, Wei often found himself explaining, just because you can perceive 11 dimensions doesn't mean you can skip the basic calculus requirements. As Kira Yamamoto reviewed all these developments from her office on Earth, she couldn't help but smile. The galaxy had expected humanity to be just another death world species, defined by their ability to survive harsh conditions. Instead, they had found something far more interesting, a species that turned everything, even the deadly and dangerous, into an opportunity for connection, creativity, and entertainment. Director, Arya interrupted her thoughts. The Galactic Council is requesting an emergency meeting. Apparently, the Fantic representative has gone viral on TikTok, and now every species wants their own social media presence. Kira laughed and pulled up the meeting scheduler. In the end, perhaps this was humanity's true contribution to galactic society, not their resistance to death world conditions or their technological innovations, but their ability to find joy, humor, and connection in even the most unlikely situations. As she prepared for the meeting, her screen displayed one final notification, trending now, #galactic memes, #humans are weird, #cosmic culture, #alien TikTok. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was probably for the better. The end.